Landlords in one state are going after the fees that landlords charge, saying that they're unfair to tenants. But the fees are charged because landlords are facing exponentially rising costs. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's going over the fact that in the state of Nevada, they are going after the fees that landlords are charging. You know, in particular, things such as the application fee or fees that we charge for other things that, are agreed upon during the lease process, okay? They're saying that these fees just are not fair. It's just not fair because the tenants, they don't have a lot of money to be paying these fees, and they're actually, advertising that their rent is one amount, but then they have all these fees on top of that, which really makes the rent much higher than that. And I think it's a garbage argument, okay? The reason that we have these fees in place in a lot of cases is because the government itself has charged us, certain things, and then we pass those fees on to the tenants. So, if my rent is, let's say my rent is $1,000 a month, but then all of a sudden, the state that I'm operating in says, oh, well, we want landlords to pay this special inspection fee once a year, right? Well, I'm going to say, well, every single month, I'm going to put an inspection fee onto my tenant and, divide that up over the course of the entire year. So yeah, the tenant might be paying that fee. It's not like I make money off of it, but I'm not going to take that loss either. Okay. So the tenant's the one who's going to be paying it. This is what I tell everyone who, when they ever say, oh, well, the government's going to pass this and that or this or that, where do you think those costs are going to go? Do you think the landlord is going to say, oh, you know what, I just am not going to make a profit anymore. I'm going to keep my rents low and, my tenants, they won't have to worry about any of those fees. No, the landlord says, I'm going to pass those fees on to the tenant, and the cost is going to be higher overall cost for them, be it the rent itself, some landlords just tack it on to the rent, or if they're going to say in the contract, okay, well, these are the fees that you have to pay. And I don't have any problem with that. I do it. Every landlord I know does it, but you know what? They don't think it's right. They oh, well, the landlord's just making a whole bunch of money off of it and profit. Like, I'm not making any money off of these fees, okay? The fees are to cover the cost. Like, for instance, right, a lot of landlords I know have what they call a lockout fee, where if a tenant gets themselves locked out of the property and then calls the landlord to come, basically let them into the house, well, the landlord is going to charge you a fee for that. Why? Because it is a burden and it takes our time, and we get paid for our time. Simply put, I'm not going to, oh, well, you're locked out of your house. It's 10 p.m. on Friday night. I'm in bed. Let me just get up, go down there, and not charge you anything. No, it doesn't work like that. Simply put, I have to get up, and from the time I get up until the time I get back into bed, you need to be paying me. That's what that fee is for. And for some reason, these lawmakers, they don't understand that. They think that, oh, well, the landlord, everything should be baked into the rent. No, it doesn't work that way, okay? You have the rent, and that's for the basic service you're providing, which is the space and, the basic fixtures inside the space, right? And then you have the fees for anything additional that you have to do, any burden that you have to, remember, your time is worth something. I think a lot of people, they think that, oh, the landlord's time isn't worth anything. They should be at our beck and call. If something breaks, we shouldn't have to pay anything for them to come out here and fix it. Yeah, well, it costs us money. Even if it means I have to send a handyman out there to do a repair, somebody's got to go out there. And maybe for small fixes, you would figure out like, hey, don't call me for a light bulb. Do not call me for a light bulb. Okay? I know that when, as I was self-managing, anything under $100 that was within reason, I expected the tenant to do themselves. Okay? It was written right into my lease. So don't call me for a light bulb. Don't call me because you need a furnace filter done. Don't call me because, any number of little small things that you should be able to repair on your own. Oh, the toilet is clogged. I need my landlord to come out here and waste 2 hours of his day. And, well, if you want me to do that, guess what? I'm gonna need some kind of compensation. That's what these fees are for. And I'm sorry, I'm going on a rant. I haven't even gotten into the article yet. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button. Maybe leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. Do you, as a landlord, charge any specific fees to tenants, and what are they for? Put it down in the comments. I'm interested what other types of fees that landlords charge. They mentioned a few in the article, but there's a great number of reasons that we can charge fees to tenants on top of our regular rent. And the fact that they want to basically ban that or make it very difficult, man, that just angers me. So anyway, let's get into this article and see what it says. This article is coming from the Reno Gazette-Journal, and it says, Nevada legislature advances tenant protection bills aimed at reining in hidden fees. And when they say hidden fees, that they're not truly hidden, okay? All of my fees, at least, they're written into my lease, okay? Now, if the tenant doesn't read them, that's on them. I even give them a copy of the lease, so they know about all the fees beforehand. But anyway, let's get into this. Lawmakers have advanced several tenant protection bills seeking to rein in practices that nickel and dime tenants through hidden fees for paying rent, applying for apartments, or requesting maintenance repairs. Amid skyrocketing rents, which have increased between 20 and 30% in parts of the state since 2020, legislators have been pressed to find solutions to address rampant housing insecurity. Members of the Nevada Housing Justice Alliance, which includes the ACLU of Nevada, the Progressive Leadership Alliance of Nevada, Make the Road Nevada, and the Culinary Union, have called for a variety of solutions from stabilizing rents to reforming eviction practices in order to address the state's housing crisis. Yeah, whoa, what a surprise. All these tenants' right groups are coming up with the same dumb failed solutions. Ooh, let's make evicting extremely hard. Oh, let's pass rent control. What? Idiocy. I'm so sick of hearing it. They don't have any new solution. They don't have any real solutions, okay? What is a real solution to housing affordability problem? Well, obviously, we all know that we need more housing. You have to build more housing. You have to make building housing easier and, make it cheaper. How do you make building housing cheaper and easier? Well, you get rid of a lot of these government regulations. You get rid of all of the bureaucrats who are, trying to crack down on people. And guess what? Suddenly the builders are left to their own devices and they will start building. They will build plenty of housing. But no, they don't want to do that. Instead, they want to micromanage everything. They want to regulate everything. They want to throw 1,000 laws and make it so hard to build that nobody wants to do it. That's what we're really seeing right now. That's why we have a shortage of housing, especially in places like California. It's overreach from the government. So, it doesn't surprise me one bit that these tenants' right groups all come up with the same solutions, because they're not solutions. The only thing they are is, just bad ideas that are regurgitated every other day. Ben Innes, the coalition coordinator for the alliance, said in addition to rent increases, people also face unknown, hidden, and unexpected fees that can ruin folks and families and potentially push folks over the tipping point to face an eviction. I think the unifying theme is that when given an opportunity, without oversight or regulation, landlords and property managers will make tenants foot the bill, he said. Wow. Man, you think that landlords are going to make tenants foot the bill? Whoa, wow, man, this is shocking and surprising. Next thing you'll be telling me is that, when you go to the grocery store, they actually expect you to pay for all of their bills and pay their employees and give them a profit on top of it. I mean, you have to pay for all that every time you buy a piece of food. Wow. Oh, or when you buy power from the power company, they want you to actually pay for the power and they want to make a profit on top of it. Wow, man, this shocking information. So they found out that landlords want tenants to foot the bill. Man, these people are dumb. Okay, they are dumb as hell, and this is a stupid argument. Of course we want you to foot the bill. We're not doing this out of our goodwill. I'm not a charity provider here. What are you thinking? I don't know a single landlord who sits there and says to themselves, you know what? I want to foot the. You know what? The cost of me getting up here and screening these tenants, like it cost me $40 to do a background. I'm just gonna eat it out of the goodness of my heart. No, I'm not gonna charge the tenant for it. What idiots? Okay, these people are dumb. Hidden fees. Several proposals targeting hidden and unexpected fees survived the recent bill deadline, in which legislation had to pass out of its respective first house. So now they're going to talk about these things that they are proposing to address the hidden fees. So, Assembly Bill 218 would require landlords to offer a free way for tenants to pay rent other than through an online portal, and mandate all non-optional fees connected to the rental, such as sewer and water fees, be listed when advertising the property. Now, I got a big problem with that one right there, okay? So they say, there has to be a free way for tenants to pay the rent other than through the portal. Now, I know a lot of landlords who have moved almost totally to online payment system, and the reason is because of fraud. Simply put, you don't want to accept personal checks, because you take a personal check, it's going to bounce. It's happened to me. Back when I used to take personal checks, you get bounced checks. That is just a fact of life, okay? People, they don't have enough money. They write you the check anyway. The check bounces. And who does the bank charge? Well, they charge you. Okay, they charge you. You don't want to take cash. Dealing with large amounts of cash is not what a lot of landlords like to do. I don't like to mess with it at all, So, because one, just taking if you give me a way to pay where, I have to go down to the bank, now I'm taking out more of my personal time. And like I said earlier, every minute that I have to do something, it costs me money. So, you're making the suggestion that I don't get paid anything. Well, even if you're a small landlord, you should act as though you are getting compensated for every little act that you do. If you're going over to make repairs, if you're doing anything, you should pay yourself in theory. Okay, now I know it doesn't always work that way, right? But, keep in mind, a lot of small landlords such as myself have, families, children, jobs, full-time jobs. And so when you're taking time away from the other things you're doing and you're not getting compensated for it, well, that sucks. So somebody bringing you a check and then you having to go down to the bank to deposit it all the time, that's, not, you should be compensated for it. That's all I'm trying to say, right? And so, the fact that these online portals charge for people to use them, well, I want you to keep in mind that the portals are run by a third party, okay? And the third party wants to make a profit as well. They don't offer their services for free. And, it's unfortunate that they don't offer it for free. I wish everything was free. In the world of the tenants, everything should be free. Oh, I shouldn't have to pay any fees. I shouldn't have to pay anything extra. Well, that's not the way the world works. Not just when I'm talking about landlords, I'm talking about everything. You go to the bank, you go to the car dealership, you go to the grocery store. There are fees and taxes and, extra costs attached to everything. That is the way business is done. So trying to limit or prohibit landlords from doing fees when literally everyone else is doing it is idiotic. Now, what would the result to this be? I mean, we already know. Instead of having a listed fee, we're going to just have to just bump our rents up to cover all of these additional costs. So rather than saying, okay, your rent is $850 a month, and then if these certain little things happen, we're going to be charging a little fee here or there. We're just going to say, okay, your rent's $1,000 a month now. Okay, that's the only way we can compensate for these additional costs is we have to increase the rent. So yeah, basically what these people are doing with these proposals is they are motivating landlords to make the rents even more expensive. Now, the good thing about fees is a lot of the times you can make personal choices, and those fees they don't happen for you. For example, if you decide, hey, I'm not going to use a credit card to pay my rent and instead have a draw straight from my checking account, well, guess what? A lot of the companies, that cost them less money, so the fee is smaller. Or you can say to yourself, oh, I'm going to not call my landlord for every little minuscule thing that, to come over and do a repair for. And I'm going to fix that light bulb myself. And now you don't have to pay a $50 fee or whatever, but you are much more in control of your costs and expenses with fees than you would be if the landlord is just, wrapping all the fees into your monthly rent. I'm going to skip down a little bit in the article because they talk about another proposal here. And it says, Senate Bill 381, which prevents landlords from charging tenants fees to perform repairs, passed the Senate unanimously on April 19th. If you're a landlord and you're responsible for maintaining a piece of equipment in the home or maintaining habitability, you cannot pass those charges down to your tenant, said Democratic State Senator Dallas Harris, who sponsored the bill. If by statute it is your responsibility, it is your responsibility, period. I agree to an extent, but like I just said, there are a lot of little things where you're saying, okay, why is the landlord responsible for this? So like when I think of repairs, if a tenant breaks a window inside of one of my units, right? Like, let's say, it was their fault. They broke it, they used a golf club and they were playing golf inside the house and it shattered one of my windows. Well, there's going to be a fee for that, okay? And it doesn't sound like this law addresses that sort of issue where landlords have things that are broken purposefully or accidentally or whatever, but it's the fault of the tenant. Right? And in those types of situations, you do need the tenant to pay. It's not your responsibility, in my opinion. Application fees. Two bills seeking to rein in tenant application fees also passed out of their respective houses. Lawmakers unsuccessfully tried to regulate application and deposit fees in 2021. Democratic State Senator Fabian Donate, through Senate Bill 78, is seeking to prevent landlords from collecting unlimited application fees on a single unit by prohibiting charging fees to other prospective tenants unless the application or applications for that dwelling have been denied. Dumb. Like I said before, it costs me $40 every time I do a background investigation. So if I'm running, let's say I have three separate tenants, right? And I need to run backgrounds, three separate prospective tenants. And I need to run backgrounds on all three at the same time in order so that I can see which one is the best tenant. Well, you wouldn't be allowed to collect fees from the second tenant. You'd only be allowed to collect the fee from one, look at that person, and then you'd have to decide whether you wanted them without even being able to look at the other people, okay? The fees that I collect during application, and then I've asked this question before during a video, and a lot of people put great comments down. Nobody's making money off of application fees. Nobody. Okay, at least none of the landlords I know or none of the landlords I've talked to. Application fees are used to cover the costs of actually dealing with the applications. That's everything from background and credit checks to paying staff to actually, go through the applications and, call references, etc. Or you might be just paying yourself for your time because it takes a lot of time in order to go through all this nonsense. And like I said, they don't seem to think that we should be compensated for our time, like everything should be free. It just does not work that way, okay, anywhere. Oh man, I think that the problem is that there's this huge sense of entitlement, and nothing is free. Absolutely nothing. I don't think that the fees are bad. I don't think that the fees are wrong, and I think that by them trying to take these fees away from landlords, the only thing they're going to do is make rent more expensive and make things less affordable for those who really don't need less affordable homes.